The Navajo were one of the major indigenous nations of North America. They mainly inhabited the southwestern United States, which today includes the states of Arizona, New Mexico, and adjacent portions of California, Colorado, Nevada, Oklahoma, Texas, and Utah. The Navajo are believed to have initially migrated from Western Canada, where they belong to a group of Native Americans called the ATHABASKANS. According to researchers, some Athabaskan groups arrived in the American Southwest around the year 1300 of the Common Era. Some Athabaskans settled in southern Arizona and New Mexico, making up the different Apache and Navajo tribes. The Navajos' religious beliefs claim that their origins stemmed from 3 underground worlds and that they traveled through these using different colors, black, blue, and yellow, until they reached the luminous world, where they emerged in the La Plata Mountains in southwestern Colorado. For the Navajo, the gods created the 4 sacred mountains, Blanca Peak and Hesperus Peak in Colorado, Mount Taylor in New Mexico, and the San Francisco Peaks in Arizona. These were supernatural boundaries within which everything was safe and secure. In addition, the gods also established 4 rivers, which acted as defensive gatekeepers. One of these was the San Juan, which played an important role in some of the Navajo myths and acted as a demarcation line in the Navajo territories. The Navajos' interactions with other indigenous peoples, such as the Pueblo tribe of the southwestern United States, were recorded in the 17th century. At that time, refugees from the Pueblos joined the Navajo following the Spanish suppression of the 1680 Pueblo Revolt. The rebellion temporarily pushed the Spanish back into Mexico, but in 1693, the Spanish reconquered the Rio Grande Valley area. The Spanish arrival also brought new livestock to the Navajo, such as sheep, goats, and horses. The Navajo were highly adaptable and included domestic animal husbandry and agriculture in their subsistence system. They also adopted horses and, like other tribes, used them as a means of transportation or as mounts in battle. The artistic influences of the Pueblos led the Navajo people to adopt painted pottery and weaving. Rugs made by the Navajo are particularly delicate examples of their art. Another important Navajo artistic tradition was the creation of silver jewelry, probably learned from Mexican blacksmiths. The Navajo learned everything they could from other peoples and used this in their society. This adaptability allowed the Navajo to become the largest and most widespread tribe in the Southwest. Although the Navajo fought bravely to defend their territories against the Spanish, Mexican, and American invaders, they cannot be considered a warrior tribe. Regardless of their bravery, their lack of political integrity was always an obstacle to military organization. They never had a defined tribal chief, and their many leaders never commanded more than a small number of followers. Manuelito, elected chief in 1855 at the conference with Governor Meriwether to negotiate a treaty, probably had more followers than any other Navajo in historical times. With their vast population, the American subjugation of the Southwest would have been much more difficult than it was if the Navajo had the insatiable bellicose urge of the Apache. In 1864, thousands of Navajos surrendered to American soldiers and made the long walk to Fort Sumner, New Mexico, where they lived on a reservation under horrific conditions. The Navajo Reservation was established with the signing of the 1868 treaty, when they were finally allowed to return to their homeland. Since then, the Navajo Reservation has expanded significantly to 27,000 square miles. During World War II, the Navajo played a very important role within the American troops. At the Battle of Iwo Jima, American Major Howard Connor, a signal officer with the 5th Marine Division, stated, "If it wasn't for the Navajo, the Marines would never have conquered Iwo Jima." Connor had 6 Navajo code talkers working around the clock for the first 2 days of the battle. These 6 Navajos sent and received over 800 messages, all without error. Navajo coders took part in every U.S. Marine assault in the Pacific between 1942 and 1945. They served in the 6 Marine divisions, Marine battalions, and Marine parachute units, broadcasting messages by telephone and radio in their native language, a code the Japanese could never break to understand the attack coordinates. Today, the Navajo Nation has the largest land area held by a Native American tribe in the USA. Unlike many tribes, the Navajo has managed to keep their cultural heritage alive. Over 97% of the adults still speak the Navajo language, and many members of the nation speak fluent English. Some continue to practice ancient religious and ceremonial forms, preserving the glorious history of the Navajo people.